Nightwork, a Dave Brandstetter mystery. Author Joseph Hansen. Publisher Open Road Integrated Media. Narrator Eric Aust. Chapter 18. The little bishop slept in the big bed in the loft again. Cecil had stuffed them with lasagna bolognese until they nodded. They liked it better than SpaghettiOs, Melville said. Melville was in the back building with him. Cecil had lent him a big portable radio and cassette player. Wearing headphones and wrapped in blankets because it was another cold, wet night, Melville lay on the long corduroy couch in front of the fireplace where logs flamed low and listened to Blondie. He could watch the door from the couch. It was bolted and chained. But he was afraid, just the same, of Smithers. In the front building, Dave sat relaxed with a drink on another couch, facing another fire. Cecil lay stretched out on the couch, his head in Dave's lap. The sing-along recording that Glenn Gould had made of the Goldberg variations, made just before his death, was on the turntable. No light was in the room except that from the fireplace. The gain was low on the stereo equipment. Dave wanted to be able to hear cars on the trail. Passing, he hoped. Of course, if Smithers came back, his headlights would swing across the clerestory windows, but only if he left his lights on. He might not do that. The Sig Sauer automatic lay on Cecil's belly. Its bronze metal gleamed in the firelight. His hands rested on it. He grumbled, stirred, laid the gun on the floor out of sight. You want me to say it's a beautiful piece of machinery? Dave didn't answer. Cecil was quiet for a long time, touching whiskey to his mouth from a squat glass in which ice trapped the color of the flames. Ought to be, he said. Cost enough. Dave made a non-committal sound and absently traced a fingertip over the intricacies of one of Cecil's tight little ears. The man who trained me with the targets at LAPD, Cecil said, told me that in this country, law enforcement says a .45 stops a man best. But in Europe, it's the 9mm. Don't you love thinking about the kind of research that went into forming conclusions like that? He touched the glass to his mouth. They could have used me if I'd just been a little deader. Dave laid fingers on his mouth. Please, he said. I don't want to shoot anybody, Cecil said. The telephone rang. It was at Dave's elbow. He picked it up, grateful he'd remembered to unplug the two instruments in the rear building. The little bishops would sleep on. Brandstetter, he said. They're breaking in here. The voice was hoarse, quite shaky, distorted because the mouth was too close to the instrument. They cut off the electricity. The alarms aren't working. The electrified fence. Gifford? Dave frowned at the phone. What are you talking about? Who's breaking in? The Edge, of course, Gifford snapped. That black gang, I don't know what's happened to the dogs. They raved, and now it's silent out there. What does the Edge want with you? Dave didn't need to ask. It's not you. It's Silencio, isn't it? Ruiz. He's there with you. Of course you know that. You knew it all along. You protected him as much as I have. We had an understanding, didn't we? No need for words. Not between us. You'll help me now. I know you'll help me now. Something crashed in the background. No, wait! Silencio! A voice spoke, but too far off for Dave to make out what it said. Gifford had the phone to his mouth again. They're on the porch. They're breaking down the doors. Phone the sheriff, Dave said. How can you say that? You know what the sheriff will do to Silencio. Are you coming to help me or not? I'll be there, Dave said. He hung up. Gotta go, he said, and lifted Cecil's head. Get hold of the sheriff's substation in Gifford Gardens, or whichever one is nearest. Gifford Gardens. Dave went down the long, shadowy room for his raincoat. Send them to DeWitt Gifford's. Someone's trying to break in. Dave flapped into his coat and unbolted the door. He thinks it's the Edge. And since he's got Silencio with him, I wouldn't be surprised. Cecil came to him, holding out the Sig Sauer. Dave shook his head. I won't need that. You keep it handy. He dragged open the door on rain and cold and darkness. Melville may be right. Smithers may be back. The tall iron gates with their chain draperies stood open. Spotlights from brown and gold county cars shone on them. The cars stood in the street outside the high, vine-grown walls, whose leafage sparkled and dripped. More cars were at the far end of the drive by the tall, jigsaw-work porch. They were hidden by the overgrown shrubs and untrimmed trees, but lights said they were there. Dave left the Jaguar, crossed the street, showed a Japanese deputy his ID, and started to explain his presence. The deputy said, "Lieutenant Salazar is expecting you." He sat in his patrol car and used a dashboard microphone. His thumb came away from the microphone switch. A loudspeaker crackled statically in the car. Dave couldn't make out the words, but the deputy told the microphone, 10-4, and hung it up. He leaned out of the car into the rain and called to another deputy in rain gear beside the gate. "Let this man through." Man moved around the grounds with flashlights. Sometimes the light streaked a yellow slicker. Voices called through the darkness, someplace off in the night. A siren wailed. The elegant etched glass of the front double doors was smashed out. Both doors stood open. Salazar waited in the doorway. Dave climbed the high, gaunt porch steps to him. Salazar looked disgusted. "He got away again," he said. "Is Gifford all right?" Dave said. Salazar snorted and turned aside. "He tried to shoot that 30-30 of his, the rifle. It blew up. I don't think it had been cleaned in 20 years. Wonder is." Salazar followed the beam of a flashlight toward the staircase. "It fired it all. Blew half his head off." "Dear God," Dave said. "He was trying to save Loverboy." Salazar located a staircase on the second floor and went up. Dave followed him. "And maybe he did. What about the edge? Your people get here in time?" "We can't hold them for much." Salazar moved along a hallway to a door that stood open on stairs leading to the attic. Breaking and entering, Salazar climbed the stairs, carrying concealed weapons, killing the dogs. Beautiful animals. Dave climbed after Salazar. Not savage enough, not against Homo sapiens. They reached the attic. Dave stopped to catch his breath. He ought to quit smoking. He asked Salazar, "How did you get here before me?" "I live about 10 miles closer." Salazar shone his light over the heaped trunks, cartons, packing cases. "I left word at the substation out here to phone me at home if anything went down around the Gifford place. You said maybe Silencio was still here." "I kept thinking about that. Look at this mess. You could hide King Kong up here." Shaking his head, he moved down the crooked, narrow aisle between the walls of dusty junk that were DeWitt Gifford's legacy to an uncaring world. Dave followed. Salazar stopped. "The coroner hasn't come yet," he said. The old man, that was what was left of him, still sat in the motor wheelchair. Salazar brushed him for only a second with the flashlight's glare and swung it away. Blood had splattered the portrait of naked Ramon Navarro, forever young, on the wall above the bed. Were he and Gifford together now? Dave didn't believe it, but he figured Gifford would have appreciated the thought. The shoes clumped on the stairs below. Voices spoke. Someone laughed. The doorway at the end of the aisle of junk glowed with moving lights. Men's silhouettes filled the door. Someone called. "Body up here?" "Over this way." Salazar shone his light along the aisle again, then back to make way for the men to pass. They were big men, young. One of them carried a collapsed gurney, whose metal fittings clinked to get himself out of their way. Dave stepped past the grizzly old man and found himself in the tower room, where the tall, curved window panes were murky yellow from the lights of the patrol cars far below. Like a big dead white bird, the ledger lay open on the coffee table. Dave pulled the reading glasses from his jacket pocket, also the penlight. He sat on the crackly old Empire couch and bent above the book, moving the thin beam of the penlight along the lines of Gifford's fussy old maidish writing. Checking dates and times, he frowned and turned back to a page, and almost spoke aloud. Gifford had lied to him about the Mercedes. He read the entry twice, closed the book, pushed glasses and penlight back into their pocket and got up from the couch, smiling grimly. In the attic, Salazar holding the light, the hulking youth had got the frail old body onto the gurney. They began steering it on wheels back along the aisle, and Dave's foot encountered something soft, huddled on the floor. He bent for it and picked it up. Salazar shone his light on it. A woman's cerise velvet hat, turban style, a crumpled satin bow at the back. 1920? Sometime around there. Dave took 3 steps and dropped the hat over the stooped back of the coroner's man, onto Gifford's body, under its cover. "You're kidding," the coroner's man said. He wasn't, Dave said, and watched as the gurney was half-wheeled all half hoisted down the aisle. Salazar's flashlight played on the stacked trunks, crates, barrels again. Dave frowned, turned back, took the flashlight from Salazar, and carefully probed the cobwebs with it. "Good God," he said, and put the light back into Salazar's hand. "What'd you see?" "It's what I don't see. There was a World War II life raft up here. It's gone, which suggests that the place you'll find Silencio Ruiz is downstream." "The creek? Have you seen how that creek is running?" "People raft it for fun all the time," Dave said. "Why wouldn't he try to escape being killed?" "It's only a different way to be killed," Salazar said. "We've had 4 drownings in this storm alone. Teenagers, grown men, people are crazy, Dave." "I wonder what makes them that way," Dave said. "Can you run a check on the license number for me, please?" "A 40-year-old life raft," Salazar said. "Laying up here all that time?" "It would be rotten." "Probably," Dave said. "I need this number." "In the morning?" Salazar said. Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold: to offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides, and in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.